Good evening and welcome to Athens City Council regular session, January 5th, 2026 at 7:01 p.m. Before we begin this evening, I'd like to share a brief welcome and civic reflection. Before we officially begin this evening's meeting, I'd like to offer a brief civic welcome followed by a moment of reflection. The purpose of this meeting is for government and members of the public to come together in the service of our people, planet, and prosperity within our community, reflecting our shared vision of Athens as a welcoming, forward-thinking city that honors its college town roots while growing sustainably. We acknowledge the rich history that has brought us to this moment that's been shaped by the indigenous people connected to the land, including the Shawnee and the Osage, as well as the cultures commonly known as the Adena, Hopewell, Fort Ancient, and generations of leaders and residents of the United States, the state of Ohio, and the city of Athens, whose civic participation has helped make this community what it is. As we do this work, we recognize our shared responsibility to engage one another with respect and care. I now invite everyone, in whatever manner feels appropriate for you, to engage in a moment of reflection as we prepare to begin and do this evening's work together. Welcome, everyone. Our first item of business is to establish a quorum, and we have all members of council here, so a quorum has been established. Our next item of business is the appointment of our clerk, and we are fortunate to have Clerk Debbie Walker with a service record of 40 years with us, sitting to my left. And I would very much like to accept a motion to have Clerk Walker serve as our Clerk of Council.
I motion that Debbie Walker continue serving as the Clerk of Council for Athens City Council.
May I have a second?
Second.
Wonderful. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And any opposed, say no, nay. All right. With that, we have officially appointed Clerk Walker as our clerk. Congratulations, Clerk Walker.
Thank you.
Yes. Our third item of business is the establishment of a president pro tempore, and that is a meaningful position that serves as the primary facilitator of meetings when the president is unavailable to do so. This is not just a ceremonial position, but it's an important one that relies on availability to be responsive to emergent needs, such as needing to serve in that facilitative capacity at the last minute, and also decorum, because we are very insistent on making sure that this remains a respectful environment for everyone. With that, council members have been informed that we're approaching this process a little different this year. We've established a tradition for several years of just going with seniority, but after really thoughtful conversations and deliberations during orientation, we've identified a number of criterion that we want people to be thoughtful of when nominating themselves for potentially serving in this position. Those are availability, punctuality, decorum, experience, and I would let folks know that we'll be using a form of self-nomination, or council members may nominate fellow members, followed by roll call votes, and we'll be doing first the selection of the president pro tem before the acting pro tem, which is the third facilitator in line. We will be going with a majority of votes in order to establish this position, which by virtue of having 7 voting members present tonight means that a successful candidate would need to receive 4 votes in order to be in the majority. It is permissible to abstain from a vote, but that will shift the numbers required in order to win. And council members have been apprised of these procedures prior to tonight. So with that, I would like to open nominations for the position of President Pro Tem. I will ask those nominating themselves or others to first raise their hand so that I can identify those who I've intend to recognize in this first round of nominations. If you'd like to nominate yourself or someone else for the position of President Pro Tem, please raise your hand at this time. I see 2 members at this time, Member Wood and Member Clodfelder. Are there any other self-nominations at this moment?
I'm not self-nominating.
Oh, I'm sorry. Clarification. I first see Member Wood's hand, and then I see Member Clodfelder's hand. Do we have any other hands intended for a nomination at this time? Let's first, Member Swank. All right, we'll go in that order. Member Wood, then Clodfelder, and then Member Swank. Member Wood, would you please share your nomination?
I'd like to nominate Jessica Thomas.
All right. Member Thomas, you've been nominated and have the opportunity to speak to that nomination.
I will accept that. Thank you.
Do you have any further comments that you'd like to share?
I've read through all of the thoughtful and really helpful explanations that President McCary has sent out, and I think I can handle all of these things. I've kind of looked through my life and moved some things around to continue taking on a little more responsibility, and I would be very happy to fulfill this role.
Thank you, Member Thomas. Your nomination has been noted. Next, we'll move to Member Clodfelder.
I would nominate myself. I have also read the thoughtful information that you shared. I think I can also do this. I am the only member of council that did not miss a single meeting in our previous session. I usually show up early, so I'm very punctual. And this is something I would work hard at. And I've been told that I ask thoughtful questions, and I think I would do a good job of running the meetings.
Thank you, Member Clodfelder. Your nomination has been noted. Moving on to Member Swank.
Yeah. Being retired has certain advantages. The four things that you outlined, availability and punctuality, being prepared, experience in a leadership role. As a retired person, when I wake up when I go up to bed at midnight on Sunday, I have 168 hours in the week, as everyone does. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, the only thing other than Monday night I have scheduled is what I schedule. So I can be here, and I will be here. I've been available to attend a lot of different things in addition to these council meetings. The ribbon cutting for the sport court near the fire station. The ribbon cutting for the fire station, where I was able to meet our new state senator, Brian Chavez, and Don Johnson, our former representative. I was able to be at the Armory for the ribbon cutting for that, and the retirement party for firefighter Riley, and also the annual City Employees Recognition Dinner, where I got to sit with all of the members of traffic enforcement and parking enforcement and found the ins and outs of how not to get a parking ticket and park legally. In terms of preparedness, I've been the chair of the Planning and Development Committee for the last year and have instituted a course of action that's been very, very different, where when someone comes to the city and asks for a variance or asks for use of the right-of-way, I literally go out and visit the site and visit with the people asking that. And that's why we're able to show the pictures on these screens, not only for members of council, but for members of the community, so they know what we are voting on. In terms of experience, before I got on council, I served, or for the last 2 years, I've served as chairman of the Planning and Development Committee. But before council, I was chair of the Arts, Parks, and Recreation Advisory Board. I was the first president of the Far East Side Neighborhood Association, served 3 terms as president of the Green and White Club for Ohio University, and I was the president of the Ohio Volleyball Coaches Association, District 13. And in addition to all those things, I am the longest serving member on City Council, having just completed my 4th full year as a council member. And it would be an honor to lead the council in our meetings on those occasions where Mr. McCary has to take the position when the mayor is not available. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Swank. Your nomination has been noted. Do we have any other nominations at this time? Seeing none, nominations are closed. We will now proceed to a roll call vote, and we will begin by having Member Almeida confirm who you would like to vote for the position of pro tem. That would be indicating Member Swank, Member Clodfelder, or Member Thomas. And Member Almeida, what is your vote?
I would like to vote for Member Thomas.
Your vote has been recorded. Thank you, Member Almeida. Member Stazer, what is your vote?
I'd like to vote for Member Swank.
Thank you, Member Stazer. Your vote has been noted. Member Wood, what is your vote?
Jessica Thomas.
Thank you, Member Wood. Your vote has been noted. Member Swank, what is your vote?
Alan Swank.
Thank you, Member Swank. Your vote has been noted. Member Clodfelder, what is your vote?
My vote is Jessica Thomas.
Thank you, Member Clodfelder. Your vote has been noted. Member Thomas, what is your vote?
I'll vote for myself.
Thank you, Member Thomas. Your vote has been noted. Member Isherwood.
Jessica Thomas.
Thank you, Member Isherwood. Your vote has been noted. I will check with our clerk and law director, but I believe we do have a majority. 4 votes for Member Thomas. Is that correct? 5. All right. All right. Then by majority, I will announce that Jessica Thomas is our pro tem. Congratulations. You get a packet of rules to memorize. Okay. All right, moving on to the election of our acting president pro tem. We'll follow the same procedures with opening nominations for self or other members of council. I will once again ask you to raise your hand if you wish to nominate yourself or another member of council for the position of acting president pro tem. All right, first hand I see is Member Thomas. Do I see any other hands for nominations for acting pro tem? Okay, Member Thomas, what is your nomination?
I would nominate Beth Clodfelder for acting pro tem.
All right. Your nomination has been noted. Member Clodfelder, would you like to accept this nomination?
Yes, I would.
And do you have any further commentary on your preparedness to accept this position?
This is the beginning of my 3rd term on council, so I have listened to Robert Rules of Order in lots and lots of council meetings, and I know how they run. I'm also reviewing the finer points of Robert's Rules of Order, just in case I got one of these positions, and it's kind of geeky, I know, but sometimes, every once in a while, something rather obscure comes up, and I want to know those obscure things, too. As I said, I show up. I think that's part of representing the the citizens of Athens, and this year I will be chairing a committee, the Transportation Committee. So I would be happy to serve in this capacity.
Thank you, Member Clodfelder. Do we have any other nominations? If so, please raise your hand before I close nominations for acting pro tem. Seeing no further hands, nominations for acting pro tem are now closed. We'll now proceed to a roll call vote starting on the other side of the dais. Thank you, Member Almeida, for your willingness to go first last time. Member Isherwood, when we begin, we'll ask you to state the name of the person that you are voting for. In this case, we have one nominee, and then we'll proceed down the dais. Member Isherwood, what is your vote?
Beth Clodfelder.
All right. Thank you, Member Isherwood. Your vote has been noted. Member Clodfelder, what is your vote?
Oh, do you want to do Jessica?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Member Thomas, what is your vote?
Beth Clodfelder.
Thank you. Your nomination has been noted, or your vote has been noted. Member Clodfelder.
I guess Beth Clodfelder.
All right. Thank you. Your vote has been noted. Member Clodfelder. Member Swink, who's your vote?
Beth?
Thank you, Member Swink. Your vote has been noted. Member Wood.
Also Beth.
Thank you, Member Wood. Your vote has been noted. Member Stazer.
Member Clodfelder.
Thank you, Member Stazer. Your vote has been noted. And Member Almeida.
Member Clodfelder.
All right. Thank you. Your vote has been noted. And by unanimous consent, Beth Clodfelder has been voted into the position of President Pro Tem, Acting President Pro Tem. And now we're done with that voting. All right. Let's congratulate our Pro Tem and Acting Pro Tem. Our next item of business is the designation of a parliamentarian. This is the role that helps support our adherence to Robert's Rules of Order and other points of confusion that might emerge during a meeting. We've been very fortunate to have Law Director Lisa Eliason fill that role for many years, and I'm very fortunate that this year she's sitting right next to me so that when I get off script, she can nudge me in the right direction, and I've got our clerk on the other side to help with that as well. But at this time, I would like to hear a nomination for parliamentarian in Lisa Eliason.
I nominate Lisa Eliason as the parliamentarian for Athens City Council.
Thank you for that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
And that came from Member Isherwood?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I see a motion and a second. We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of Lisa Eliason serving as our council's parliamentarian, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, by unanimous vote, Lisa Eliason will serve as not only our law director, but also our parliamentarian. Congratulations. Our next order of business is disposition of minutes. These include the regular session held December 1st, 2025, and special session held on December 8th, 2025, and a regular session held on December 15th, 2025. So we are catching up with the minutes of some of the end-of-year business that we had in 2025. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
I heard a move by Member Thomas and a second by Member Clodfelder. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, hearing that, the minutes have unanimously been approved. And next, we have communications. Do we have any communications from council members? Member Thomas?
I guess, do you want to do under communications?
Sure, yes. Yes, I'll first share, and then I'll ask Member Thomas to share an exciting announcement about some of our local businesses that are being recognized. But the communication I'll share as president is that council members participated in a two-day orientation or two-evening orientation on December 17th and 18th in council chambers. We were joined by a number of key partners, including our treasurer, auditor, law director, our mayor, and we have explored a number of topics in a preliminary way to give everyone a strong foundation for moving forward. Some of the next phases of our ongoing professional development will involve connecting with the many boards, commissions, and task forces that support our government, and we will be extending opportunities for community members to be more engaged in that regard. Do we have any additional communications from council members? Member Thomas, and then we'll go to Member Wood.
Yes. President McCary passed on from the Athens Area Chamber of Commerce, where they'd shared with us their upcoming gala and award and dinner later this month, and asked if we could share the this year's winners for some of the various awards that they have for our local businesses. And so I wanted to go through those and just let everyone know who has won what awards and what that award means, just to spread awareness of some of the things that are happening in the community. There's a few to go through. First one up is the Distinguished Service Award for Adele Hansen. And this award is for an individual who has shown tremendous service to the community over an extended period of time. And she is working with Athens Food Rescue. The Holzapfel Economic Impact Award is going to be given to the Habitat for Humanity of Southeast Ohio. And that recognizes a business for exceptional economic impact on the Athens community. The 2025 John Sparhawk Small Business of the Year Award will go to Casa Nueva, and that is awarded to a small business that is a community supporter, has ingenious marketing promotions, and a thoughtful and conscientious work ethic. The 2025 Young Professional of the Year is Carly Ferguson with the Athens Casa Gal. The Young Professional Award highlights the work of individuals under 40 who have excelled in their professional lives and have made an impact on their community. We have the Community Support Award, which will be given to Fairfield by Marriott of Athens. That honors those who exemplify community by going above and beyond to support the Athens area. The 2025 Ambassador of the Year is going to Shauna Stump, State Farm Insurance. This recognizes the individual who in the past year has shown the greatest commitment to the team by volunteering their time, energy, and expertise in support of the Athens Area Chamber of Commerce. And the 2025 Best New Business of the Year to Big Run Kava Bar. And this recognizes a business that has opened in the last 24 months, shows community support and engagement, and offers a much-needed service or product to the community. On behalf of council and myself and the president, we'd like to just congratulate all of the winners.
Thank you, Member Thomas. Member Wood, did you have any communications to share?
Yeah, much less sunny, unfortunately. We've heard from a couple of residents on Columbia, the Sinkoffs and the Risks, who've gone through some unfortunate flooding due to water breaks. The administration responded really quickly, and I appreciate that a lot. Director Stone added a lot of context to that. I know some folks said they were going to come this evening to speak, but I don't recognize you all by name or face. There you are. But I'm hopeful. The administration has been really great at getting grants and finding resources for those things. I just want to shine some light on that and hope that the administration will continue that work to help work on our aging infrastructure. So, and thank you for your response so far and everything that you guys have done.
Thank you, Member Wood. Do we have any additional, Member Cloudfeller?
Along the very same lines as what Member Wood just shared, I was approached by a community member at the library recently who lives on McGuffey Lane and was saying that they are also having flooding issues. She thinks perhaps, though she was very ready to acknowledge that she's not a civil engineer, but she thinks perhaps they need an improvement to the swale along the street, which might mitigate some of those flooding instances. But she said they need it soon, that she and her neighbors have gotten water in their basements and things have gotten ruined, and she said the sooner the better before we get a lot more precipitation. If the city could focus on that, please.
Thank you, Member Clodfelter. Any additional communications from council members? Moving on to reports and communications from other elected officials. Law Director?
I'll let the mayor go first.
Mayor?
I have my annual report.
Oh,
so.
there you go. Okay. Councilmember Wood and Councilmember Clodfelter, yes, we did receive those communications as well. I know that Director Stone put forward a pretty in-depth, not an explanation, but certainly instructional as to how the water flows through North Hill and up Columbia Road. I'm hopeful that those who were impacted got that same message as to the issues up there. It is something that we're going to be addressing this year in that area in particular. Also recognizing that when there are water line breaks, and inevitably it's happening during the coldest days of the year, but also with freeze thaws, it tends to happen in Athens because of our clay substrate more frequently than other places. And we just ask everyone, this is citywide, to bear with us when there are water line breaks or if there's a sewer issue, that if the city has to dig up the street, with the asphalt plants being closed during the winter months, they typically close November and don't open up again until April, that we have to put in crushed limestone because, and sometimes cold mix, but cold mix doesn't hold. It's almost like throwing money at something that isn't going to be effective as replacing the asphalt when we've had to dig up the streets to replace them, or in some cases the sidewalks as well, depending on the break. So we are working on that. The swale is the other issue that we are actively exploring what we could create down there. Member Wood has been wonderful in kind of educating us all in ways in which rain gardens can certainly help when you have water issues in areas. This swale would be much larger than your typical rain garden, but it's something that we're looking at putting in down there off McGuffey and Harris and some of the other streets, or Harris.
Harris, you're right.
Down that same neighborhood. So we are looking at that. It's wonderful to hear council and your appointment with Mayor Pro Tem or President Pro Tem. I mean, you would be Mayor Pro Tem if I was gone. And going through that process, I will state that now being the immediate past president for the National League of Cities, the level of engagements will change significantly. So President McCary, what was experienced last year with President Crowell is going to be vastly different than it was in 2025, here moving forward into 2026. So just wanted to get that out there. It has been an amazing experience as being the president of the National League of Cities. I've received a lot of very heartfelt letters from across the nation with the leadership that I was able to provide to the National League of Cities. What that tells me is that for those who did send letters, on the national stage, Athens is truly recognized as a city that is going above and beyond with everything from our infrastructure improvements to the tune, by the way, that's something I want to share that was just brought together by our Deputy Service Safety Director. Since 2016, we've been the recipient of over $115 million of federal and state funding for infrastructure projects in the city of Athens. Athens hasn't seen anything like that since the late 60s and early 70s. Should make sense because a lot of these projects are projects that have 50-year life expectancies to them. I think I indicated this at the last council meeting in 2025, and that is that we are pushing the envelope in the city of Athens to where we have repaired almost every bridge that we are responsible for since 2015 up through the present, which is no small feat when you think about it. And a fair portion of that, $115 million in state and federal funding was for bridge projects, rehabs of our bridges in the city of Athens. One of the most notable ones to me is the Oxbow Bridge, which I failed to mention at council last time we spoke. That was a project 2015, ribbon cutting 2016, where we honored the history of that particular bridge too by retaining the exterior safety features, the crash walls that were original from the 1930s, 1940s. So we've done a lot of work. But again, the city of Athens is truly recognized across the nation with the work that we've been able to accomplish through the National League of Cities. The last thing I want to share is we have a special guest here tonight. I don't see it anywhere else on the agenda. I did want to make sure that was the case. We have a new poet laureate for the city of Athens. And so I would like to introduce everyone to Becca Lockman. Becca is the author of, if I'm reading through her resume, and I'm not going to read everything on your resume, it is extremely robust and impressive, but multitude of recent publications. I'm counting 5 books or editing books on poetry, or your own poetry, which is, again, truly remarkable. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce to council and to everyone who's viewing tonight the 2026-2028 Poet Laureate for the City of Athens, Becca Lockman, please.
I just want to say, what a gift to live in a corner of the world that even has this position, and such an honor to follow in the footsteps of all of the Poet Laureates of Athens that have come before. And I was asked to share a little bit about my vision for the next few years, and also to read a quick poem. I hope you'll think of it as dessert. So as the Poet Laureate, I'm hoping to focus on poetry and the body. I want to help our community to gather poems and poets to literally help us get out of bed in the morning and keep going and growing over the next years. My vision hopes to encourage us to more permanently incorporate poetry into our definitions of wellness and lasting self-care, individually but also as a community, as we experience how reading, writing, and carrying poetry with us affects and connects our very bodies. So I'm hoping to work with local medical, mental health, arts community facilities to come up with projects that can help us to not give up, to keep going, and to really see poetry as a way to repeatedly accept, even forgive and befriend our current selves and our community as well. I'd like to read a poem that I wrote just last month for 3 wonderful Athenians. I've been here for 20 years now. I was one of those people who moved here for grad school, said, okay, 2 years and I'm out of here. And then I just fell in love, and literally fell in love with an Athenian. So here I am. I deeply love this place, and I'm really looking forward to bringing poetry into our daily lives. This is for Tammy, Todd, and Katie, and it's a poem called Ignoring the Advice of All My Past Poetry Teachers. I put the word heart in a poem. Look, whatever stone compacts the soil of your heart, set it aside, if only for an hour. Close by, know there are more of us practicing a tentative shuffle forward. Sure, there will be headlines that can wake us like doors slamming in the night. And come morning, we might withhold some tenderness, peace, or even desire, since the dinner dishes lie crusted in the sink. But look, how exquisite that we're here at the same time, alive in this very room, this impossible city, our neighborhoods ablaze as the longest night steps up to the microphone again. And speaking of that shared arc of changing light, the low afternoon sun also making movie stars of plants in our front windows, or how wet and sudden snow traces everything, a bit like I imagine God, if she exists. Look to night gestures like a gowned dancer. Really look at all that these bodies ask of us. It will be magnificent. And the next day, devastation. But tomorrow, get out of bed anyway. I will, if you will. Let's stack these flat and sharp and geode stones, one learning the tilt of another, into a trail marker no one can ignore any longer. Talk to your neighbors as if you'll know them forever. Sing the songs you love, which start from a place we can never quite explain or answer. Put out the first feast, I almost wrote fist, of birdseed, and wait for the colors that come. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Mayor Patterson, anything else from you?
That's it.
All right. Continuing with reports, Treasurer Thomas, do you have anything for us?
Nothing today.
All right. Then the big action comes from our law director.
I guess so.
All right.
Could you pass one of those?
Absolutely.
She's a tough act to follow. It's not eloquent. Every year in January at the first meeting, I stand before you, and it's a requirement from the Ohio Revised Code that I give you a report of business of my office, and that is the Office of the Law Director and City Prosecutor. There are 3 new members of council who probably have no idea what my office or what I do. As law director, I do oversee 2 divisions of the office, and that's the civil division, and that's where you all come in, and also the criminal division of our office. I'm elected. In charter cities, the law director is appointed. So let me tell you a little bit about the criminal side. We prosecute misdemeanors, and I have 2 full-time prosecutors who do that. We prosecute misdemeanors that occur in the city of Athens and in the unincorporated areas of the county. Now, you're probably thinking, why in the world would she prosecute misdemeanors that don't happen in the city? Well, the Ohio Revised Code calls for that and says that the city law director shall be responsible for prosecuting those misdemeanors. We do get compensation from the Athens County Commissioners, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. So we prosecute cases that occur in the city, misdemeanors. It could be anything from a minor misdemeanor traffic offense up to a vehicular manslaughter case, drunk driving case. And those are things that are punishable by 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. There are quite a few of those, and I'm going to get into that in just a moment. But in the city, we have our quote-unquote clients are the Athens City Police, the Ohio University Police, out in the county, and also the city State Highway Patrol, the sheriff, the dog warden. We've had cases that have been from the Ohio Department of Taxation. We've had Department of Agriculture cases. So those are the kinds of things on the criminal side. And again, I have 2 prosecutors, but ultimately I'm responsible for those prosecutions, and I'm very involved in those also. So let me tell you how many criminal cases there are. There are many more felonies, and those felony cases are prosecuted over in common pleas court. There are less felonies, I'm sorry, but there are more misdemeanors, and the felonies are prosecuted over in common pleas court. The misdemeanors are prosecuted in Athens County Municipal Court. So this is at the bottom of page 1, and we used December 24th as a cutoff. There were 1,398 criminal, 6,419 traffic, and 240 OVI cases filed in Athens County Municipal Court. That was a total of 8,057. In comparison, in 2024, there were a total of 8,006 cases filed. So were there a few more cases this year? And cases, again, get filed by law enforcement. In 2025, so this past year, 294 defendants under diversion for driving under suspension, substance abuses, and offenses involving alcohol. So of those cases in 2025, about 76% did things like they waived the court appearance. If it was a traffic ticket, they paid the ticket. They pleaded arraignment, they entered a diversion, or they were prosecuted by another jurisdiction like Nelsonville. My office had direct involvement with 24% of the cases, or 1,963 cases. This was a question that Member Swank has asked in the past, and of those 1,963 cases, 1,008 occurred in the city of Athens, including on Ohio University property, and 955 occurred outside the city of Athens in the unincorporated area of the county. Some of those didn't get completed this year, and we'll carry those over into 2026. So I already told you the jurisdiction outside the city, but I also told you who we prosecute for. Inside the city, we prosecute code enforcement cases. We prosecute for the income tax department and the criminal cases from Ohio University and the Athens City Police. Other things the law director does, I serve on the contract negotiating team. And this is rather interesting because this is from the Ohio Revised Code also. I'm the attorney for the Athens City School District and for the Athens Civil Service Commission. Page 2, my budget last year was $757,000, $757,352. We received $82,190 from the commissioners to prosecute those misdemeanors that occur in the unincorporated areas of the county. And for 2026, I've asked them for an increase of 2%. So I'm not going to go through all the services that the prosecutors provide, but our prosecutors are available at any time of the day or night, as am I, and I still do get calls from law enforcement in the middle of the night asking me my opinion on how to proceed with a case. So my prosecutors prosecute the misdemeanors. You can see some of the things that they do. That's on page 3, and that is D, under D, some of the things they do. But then what do? I do oversee the misdemeanor prosecutions, but there are quite a few things I do also. I issue legal opinions. I do a lot of legal research because even though I've been doing this for decades, every day something new comes up. And so I may have to consult Lexis, which is our legal database, and do some legal research. I prepare an annual report for the state auditor of what's happening. File small claims, meet with the prosecutors. I give elected officials legal advice. I review contracts. I come to council meetings. I will come to committee meetings upon request, executive sessions. I do collective bargaining. The clerk and I work very closely together on drafting the ordinances, and I appreciate everything that she does. Really, things could not be as smooth as they are, but for Debbie Walker. Everything looks smooth as it's going on here, but believe me, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and I appreciate everything she does. I work with the HR director on personnel matters. Our office, in the past, the work, and there is a lot of real property work that goes on, deeds, easements, and in the past, outside counsel did those, but I have an assistant law director, Jessie Branner-Hittle, and a lot of you know her. She's been here for me. She has a background in real property, and she does a lot of work as far as preparing deeds, the easements, purchase agreements, that sort of thing. And we do all of that in-house now. And now for the part that you're probably most interested in, and that is a report on pending civil litigation. So that's on page 5, a case that you're all familiar with, East State Street Development. I've basically kind of listed some of the things that have been happening in that. And right now, there's a deadline for East State Development, January 12th, 2026, to file a response brief. There have been briefs filed on judgment on the pleadings. And in that case, our office works with insurance counsel to manage the litigation. So just like you have insurance, automobile insurance, or insurance, well, automobile is probably the best example. And if you were in an accident, then your insurance agent would be involved. But you also would have an attorney representing you in that. And we have an insurance agent. We have public employees, PEP. And we have outside counsel helping us in that because the claim was made against the city, so our insurance stepped in, and we have outside counsel on that. But our office works very closely with outside counsel, and when we have executive session, I come in and I update you on what's going on in the litigation. Another case that we've been involved in, obviously you know this one too, City of Athens versus John and Jane Doe. And that's been referred to private mediation, and the last court order says it has to be completed by February 19th of 2026. There was just a case filed, a pro se case, but I listed it, and that has a motion to dismiss on it. Those are the two main ones. We have a couple others. One that we've been involved in with the City of Athens, City of Columbus. We're involved with this one in the state of Ohio. That's on the tobacco regulations. And the City of Columbus prevailed in the trial court, and they prevailed in the Court of Appeals, but that's up in front of the Supreme Court. And there's been no further action in that, but we have no financial obligation associated with that. And the last is one that you're probably familiar with, is last year we joined some litigation, drug manufacturing overpricing, and we're represented by outside counsel on that, and that really is in a discovery phase. So those are the cases that we're involved in. That's the civil litigation of the city. So that's my report. I'm glad to take any questions that you might have regarding what my office does or where we are as far as civil or even what we do with the criminal cases. So,
Member Swink.
And going back to the top of page 2, which you referenced, I asked about before, kind of a follow-up question. 955 cases occurred outside the city of Athens, the unincorporated areas of and the word here that's important, in the county. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned that the county commissioners appropriated $82,190.
yes.
That works out to $86.06 per case. How close does that come to covering your costs?
You know, we have 2 full-time prosecutors, and it probably doesn't completely cover one prosecutor. I guess what I look at is the cost of a prosecutor, and they're basically paying the cost of a prosecutor. They're not paying for other things, but there are other duties that the prosecutors perform, not just the prosecutions, but other duties involving city work. So it doesn't quite cover one prosecutor.
So is 2% what we need to be asking for?
Well, when I first started, and that was in 2015, we were getting $38,000 a year to prosecute. And I looked at what was the difference in the cases. You know, you've asked me that several times, and I think that's an excellent question as to how many occur in the city, how many in the county. The revised code says that we get such compensation as the county commissioners decide. And I increased, every year I've increased it. I increased it dramatically the first few years to get it up to this 82,000. And since council gave a 2% raise to the non-union employees, that's why I asked them for 2%.
Because that's not even the rate of inflation. Would there be any benefit in this council passing a resolution of support for a more robust increase?
Certainly could do that when the time comes. I usually request that in November, when the county commissioners start working on their budget for the year. And I could certainly approach council at that time and ask you for a resolution.
Member McCary, who is I have to apologize, I have not memorized who's on what committee. Who is the chair of the Finance Committee?
That will be Member Thomas.
Okay, so, and you said what month?
Usually November, so let's start in October.
Okay.
So I send my request to them. I have a letter I send, and that's when they start working on their budget, and I believe in November. So.
Because we certainly want to do two things. We want to make sure that your office is able to enforce the law, both city, state, and federal, anything that follows under your purview, but also to make sure that those who find themselves in that position are getting true due process. And if we're not even covering costs, we're probably not meeting either one of those. So I'll, in October, make a note of that to get it over to our Finance Committee and let council run with it as council members see fit.
Thank you, Member Swank. Any other questions or comments for the Law Director?
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Eliason. Moving on, we would at this time need a motion to approve October 2025 credit card transactions.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the October 2025 credit card transactions indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the 2025 October credit card transactions have been approved. I'd now like to accept a motion to approve November 2025 financial reports. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving the November 2025 financial reports indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. The November 2025 financial reports have been unanimously accepted and approved. Next, we have opportunities. Thank Member Swank.
Yeah, an item of under other business.
Other business, yes.
As President McCary mentioned, we went through two informative, beneficial, yet exhaustive 2 days of orientation. And he provided, I think, a half a ream of paper for us to read. But one of the things that President McCary did is, and council members know this from reading the material, he looked at a lot of other communities as to what they were doing to get ideas. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. Search, steal, and then modify. And I think he did a very, very good job of that. But that got me to thinking about what other councils and what other communities do. And I went on to a lot of websites of various communities and watched videos and all of that. And one of the things that popped up is some of these do their things just a little bit differently than we do. And tonight we began to see a little bit of that difference, the statement of civic welcome from President McCary. So I started looking at our rules, and rule number 35, amendments to rules, says these rules may be amended or altered or new rules adopted by motion at the first meeting of a new term by a majority of all the members elected or at any meeting of the council, and so on and so forth. This is the first meeting of the year, and I think to propose any amendments to the rules as we discussed would be a little bit overboard at this time. However, I would like to say that our next meeting, I would like us to take a very serious look as a committee of the whole, as President McCary mentioned to me, probably the most appropriate way, is rule number 8, the agenda, which is order of business. Not radical changes, but a couple of things that we might tack on to the beginning of the meeting to establish a little bit more of a sense of decorum, formality, and the fact that you said this is a meeting for government officials and members of the public. And so, not tonight, but at our meeting a week from tonight, I would like to be able to add that to the agenda through Clerk Walker as an item for the Committee of the Whole to take a specific look, per our rule number 35.
Thank you, Member Swank. Do we have any other business from council members before we move on to reappointments of some commissions that we have? Mayor Patterson.
Thank you, President McCary. I don't know that if you have publicly pushed out yet the, I'm hoping this is final, the 2026-2027 City Council Committee assignments. I think something like that would be informative to the public, as well as everyone who's here tonight, because this is being televised. If you would, to read through these, because it'd be great, because we get calls all the time that, here's an issue that we're seeing that requires legislative action, and so who is on said committee, whether it's finance and
I
personnel.
appreciate
or
that. I'll
planning
ask the
and
mayor to
development.
read those results in just a moment and clarify that we will be indeed having our first committee meetings a week from today. So the roster that the mayor is about to read will indicate who will be chairing each of those committees, and I, as president, will chair the committee of the whole. And I'm going to go ahead and read those results right now. Yeah, thanks very much.
They're your appointment, so I
Appreciate it, yes. Beginning with our City and Safety Services Committee will be chaired by Paul Isherwood and joined by Megan Almeida, Alan Swank, and Michael Wood. Our Finance and Personnel Committee will be chaired by Jessica Thomas, joined by Beth Clodfelder, John Stazer, and Michael Wood. Our Planning and Development Committee will be chaired by Member Swank, joined by Member Almeida, Paul Isherwood, and Jessica Thomas. And our Transportation Committee will be chaired by Beth Clodfelder, joined by Paul Isherwood, John Stazer, and Alan Swank. Those committee meetings will begin next week, a week from today, in council chambers.
That's not the right list.
Oh, okay, and we did have a change with the Transportation Committee.
Transportation Committee will be chaired by Beth Clodfelder and members Michael Wood, John Stacer, and Alan Swank.
Thank you for that correction. Those are the 2026-27 City Council Committee appointments. And thank you, Member Patterson, for raising that point. All right. We now need to make some reappointments to the first Disabilities Commission. I served as our council's liaison to that commission during the last term and can confirm that we are now able to reappoint the terms for Diane Bouvier, Deborah Burley, Michelle Hahn, and Anna Corpy. We have a Disabilities Commission that has these four individuals whose terms expired at the end of 2025 and would like to have their terms renewed. This is for the Commission on Disabilities, and these are four members whose terms have expired and are now in need of reappointment. And may I have a motion to renew the terms for Diane Bouvier, Deborah Burley, Michelle Hahn, and Anna Corpy?
I move that we do indeed let those four individuals who've worked so hard on that commission continue doing so.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Member Swank.
How long do they, is this appointment or reappointment or extension for?
I believe these are two-year terms. Does the clerk happen to know for sure? Okay.
The reason I ask is when we had the report, this was going to be a transitional thing until full-time members could be appointed, and this appears to be a different motion.
My recollection of the end of the year report from Commission on Disabilities was that they indicated who was stepping off, but that they would be overlapping. Their terms will have officially ended, but they will continue to provide some service and mentorship to new members. But we have four folks whose terms are eligible for reappointment, and that's what we're trying to handle tonight. Any additional discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of affirming these four reappointments to the Disabilities Commission indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, those four have been reappointed to the Commission on Disabilities, and I thank them for their service. We next have the Municipal Arts Commission two individuals whose terms expired near the end of 2025, Devin Sudman and David Telga. And we would like to reappoint both of them to the Municipal Arts Commission. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor of reappointing Devin and David to the Municipal Arts Commission, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, Devin and David have been reappointed to the Municipal Arts Commission. Thank you. And last but not least, we have a reappointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals for Rob Delich, whose second term expired in October of 2025. May I have a motion to reappoint Rob Delich?
Point of clarification.
Point of clarification.
We already did this.
Did we do that at the end of last term?
Yeah, the mayor
Okay.
walked up here at the meeting, mentioned Sam, and we did it.
Clerk, does that sound appropriate to you? I believe that sounds right to me. So Rob Delich has been doubly appointed. So we may have already taken care of that Board of Zoning Appeals reappointment. But does anyone else have any appointment matters or reappointment matters to attend to for business this evening? All right. Now we have an opportunity for citizens to speak on items that were not already on the agenda. So if you have any guests who are here to speak on topics that we haven't already covered, we'd ask that you approach the podium, introduce yourself, just let us know where you live, and if you're representing yourself or an organization, and each individual will have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, I'm Allison Sinkoff. I live at 155 Columbia Avenue in Athens, Ohio, and I'm representing myself and my husband.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity to come to you tonight with our continued concern for the recent and numerous water main breaks in the Northside neighborhood, particularly near the streets of Columbia Avenue, Old Peach Ridge Road, and Stroud's Run Road. I'd like to thank and recognize that there are several of my wonderful neighbors here in support of this issue for tonight. As longtime residents of 155 Columbia Avenue, Dave Sinkoff and I have enjoyed raising 2 boys, caring for my elderly father, and providing a safe haven for 9 indoor cats and 1 betta fish. On Wednesday, December 17th, our street suffered a water main break near our neighbors of 156 and 158 Columbia Avenue. Our neighbors are John and Mary Rist and Kevin Witham. This break sent torrents of water and mud across the street, overwhelming our outside drainage infrastructure, flooding our property and our home's finished lower level. This extreme muddy water event flooded all carpeted hallways, a bathroom, utility room, workout room, and garage. The Rists also suffered from this event with huge amounts of mud and water into their garage and lower level. 2 days later, on December 19th, another break occurred in the same location, again entering the Rists garage area, crossing the street, overwhelming our drainage infrastructure, and entering our home. In addition to the 2 breaks aforementioned, another break in the same location occurred 5 months prior, on July 19th, 2025. This was a similar and stressful water event, once again sending incredible amounts of water and mud onto our property, flooding our lower level. While we were equally overwhelmed with this July water main break, we quietly cleaned our property. As homeowners, we have invested much to mitigate our property from outside water events. We have outfitted our entire home with French drains, retaining walls, a driveway with numerous metal grates for drainage of natural water occurrences. Additionally, we frequently remove street dirt, weeds, stingy vines, and leaf matter on the road above our house. Believe me when I say we have more than studied all street water events and patterns, both natural and unnatural, that flow toward our house, of which...
Please take another half a minute to finish your statement.
Thank you. of which sits below street level. It should be noted that the streets rise in elevation, and the utter lack of functioning drainage on the street side of 158, 156, and 154 Columbia Avenue makes our home incredibly, remarkably vulnerable to all street water events. Therefore, we feel the City of Athens has a responsibility to better ensure water drainage is directed away from all residential properties, specifically in this area, and which include the Rists at 156 Columbia Avenue, Jansen Jeffers at 153 Columbia Avenue, the Sinkoffs at 155 Columbia Avenue, and Jonathan and Ariana Bernard of 1 Old Peach Ridge Road. In closing, we would like to express our appreciation with the city's quick response to our request for reimbursement of damage from this most recent water event, as well as efforts to identify the root cause of increased breakage in and around Northside neighborhood. However, we urgently request your timely and thorough assistance in resolving and updating the city's water infrastructure and improving street drainage near our home and surrounding neighbors. We wish to thank the work of our city's street department, including Kurt Mail, who has taken the brunt of our frustration from me, while we helplessly watch water rush into our home. Thank you, members of City Council, particularly Michael Wood, Paul Isherwood, and Jessica Thomas for your constant communication and support, as well as city officials, Jared Balderson, Andy Stone, and Andrew Cheeky. We love our neighborhood, our community, and continue to live in Athens for years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for taking the time to share those concerns, not only on behalf of yourself, but on behalf of your neighbors as well. Do we have any other members of the public wishing to speak tonight on items that were not on the agenda?
Can I ask a question of the mayor?
Member Swink.
While you were speaking, I was not texting friends, but I was looking at the location of your home.
Yeah.
You're the house with the solar panels on the roof, right?
Correct.
Is there any possibility, and I'm not a geologist by any means, but looking where this is, and I'm very familiar with this because John Kopchak's a good friend of mine. I'm up that way for many, many years. Right over the hill is Joneswood. That with all the work we did there, is there any chance that that cliff, that hillside, what we did down there could have inadvertently had some effect on what's happening up on Columbia? Again, I'm not a geologist, and I know you're in psychology, so we're both out of our, but is there a chance that that may have had some effect?
It's interesting, Councilmember Swank. I would end up having to defer to our Director for Engineering and Public Works on that issue unto itself. I'm not a geologist either, although my father was, but I'm not going to lean on that. I will certainly ask about that, is to see whether the two could be at all related to something like this. One of the things that Director Stone had indicated is that, we recognize that up on Columbia and in that environment, some of the pipes are older, and so therefore they're thoroughly looking into that. They also had indicated it's not an excuse. The system up there on North Hill is interesting in that you have the Highland Reservoir and then you have the Peach Reservoir that's even higher, the tank that's up there. There's a lot of 8-inch lines. There's 16-inch line that feeds Highland. There's 6-inch lines that typically are what feed to the houses along that area and down Old Peach Ridge. And so one of the things that was done 10 to 15 years ago, is that there was something similar where there was a rash of waterline breaks. What was happening at that time, though, was that the pumps that feed both Peach Ridge and up on Highland were creating what are called hammers, where you have high pressure hitting all at one time on the system as the pumps are trying to send water up to the reservoirs. And so they ended up putting what are called soft start systems up there to where they don't come on at full tilt and start, depressurizing really quickly. They pressurize slower. They are and have been researching this, since these breaks have happened, and getting more fidelity on where the problem lies. Anytime you have a neighborhood where you start seeing, waterline breaks like this, that there's something that certainly it could be the line itself, but when you're seeing this repeatedly in a very short period of time, and I didn't realize that July was the first one, but to see the rash that has been experienced lately, the engineers are looking in to see, is there something that is in fault with the soft starts, with the system that's up there? But they're doing, everything they possibly can to rectify the problem. And some of that may require, it being a bigger project up in that whole corridor with replacing lines and then repaving the streets once and getting that all done, which is typical. The city will do that. We did this in the Fena neighborhood, where we had a number of lines that had to be replaced. We did it all one fell swoop. These weren't water line breaks. This is just aging infrastructure, and therefore you're working it to where you're replacing the water lines, the mains if that's required, and then you're paving all at the same time, as opposed to trying to kind of patchwork things together. So that is the current plan from the Director of Engineering and Public Works. But the crews are going to stay on top of this. Knock on wood, this doesn't happen again. As weather permits, we'll get up there and really look at how, strategically, how are we going to sit there and hopefully fix this problem that we're seeing within the Columbia Road neighborhood, Old Peach Ridge, and on Stroud's Run Road as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And for the question, Member Swank. Do we have any other members of the public who are here to speak on this particular topic? I'd remind the public for your awareness that we don't typically have the opportunity to engage in problem solving during this public forum at the end of meetings, but that was a question relevant to communication shared earlier, and we do have a number of neighbors who are concerned about this, so we appreciate the mayor's ability to provide some timely feedback. Do we have any other members of the public who'd like to speak before we close this opportunity for public comment for tonight's evening meeting? Seeing none, the opportunity for public comment is closed. And I would now like to accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Seeing that, do we have any discussion before adjournment? All in favor of adjourning indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And any opposed to adjourning our first meeting of the 2026 term, say nay. Unanimously adjourned at 8:08 p.m. Thank you, everyone.